Okay, good morning. So we're going to do a Facebook test here. Try to go live, but I'm going to be working on the demonstration for Monday's class of Will, head painting drawing. And since we've spent the last 2 weeks doing compositional sketches and color study, we're a little more familiar with this than if we would have just jumped right in and painted. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about is this big enough? Is an 8 big enough? Do I need a 12? Let me get a 12 real quick. Do I even have a 12? Not really. All right, an 8's big enough, I guess. An 8 is big enough. Okay, so we all talked, already got some paint on my brush. We talked about our movement and all of that. So today for my size and placement, um, I took our ultramarine blue from our palette and the cad red from our palette, and it's primarily going to be those two colors in a really thin wash. I also have some ivory black back here, because one of the things I want to do today is, in addition to getting Will on there, I hope you guys all saw on Friday that the background and the movement through the background is just as important, okay, for the overall painting. So with that in mind, and I realize you cannot see my palette, and I apologize right now for that. I've got to get my camera angles down, and also we're very soon here going to order another camera. And then if the computer can handle all those cameras coming in, then we'll have 3 cameras, or maybe I can be a little more intelligent on camera setup. But it ain't so easy. It ain't so easy. So first thing I want to do, and I know this is going to be dark up here and gray, so I could just test this out up here, right? Remember we talked about coming out through here. We have some light in the background that's going to define the hair, the face, the neck, the top of the collar, the side of the collar, and the shoulder very clearly right here. And we're going to have this a little bit darker so that it moves in. So again, I'm just testing to see, am I gray enough? Am I dark enough? This is showing up kind of blue to me. But you see, it's so thin, it doesn't really matter, and I can just kind of slide that around. So in my medium, I have added a bit of the Gamasol, um, odorless turpentine, thinner, just so that it dries quicker, and it's really thin, right? And then that's going to come out from big, almost like a triangle. And again, we don't want that hard geometric shape, but almost like a triangle. And then the other thing is, I thought it was good if this hooked up with the shadow on the light side of Will's face. There's a shadow as that his hair turns over. Remember that? And so I think I'd like those things to kiss. And then that right there is going to force you to go here. And we remember his tie, and then his shadow is going to turn you up. Before we go, there's just going to be a little bit of light defining that hair, face, neck, top of the collar, side of the collar, and shoulder. So we'll jump the eye, all that beautiful, wild, crazy hair, and then just slightly darker here. Our lightest background is going to be here, and we'll have the second here, and then this will be a little bit weaker up there. When I say weaker, I mean darker, and that'll help the light of the face and the hair. I know. Show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me, show me. Tom, I'm about to show you, bud. I'm about to show you. Don't worry. We're going to get to the point. Okay. So I've had my head in computers and hardware and software for, I think, a week plus now. So let's see if I remember how to do this. And part of this thing is just giving yourself time and space to warm up. Time and space to warm up. And I do spend a good deal of my time. There we go. Can you guys see that how thin that paint is and slippery? This is going to dry faster, right? And we don't want a ton of medium on here, right? We don't want big glops. Good morning, Tom. Good morning. All right, so we have all of that. Because part of this is just to get this part of the canvas darker, so again, if it shows through later, we don't have to work edge to edge to edge. Right, and see how light these marks are? So that if I just get off to a really bad start, man, I can't warm up and I'm just doing everything wrong. Well, all that quote unquote wrongness isn't going to overtake and ruin your canvas this early. All right, get out of bed, sit up, stretch. All right, we don't want to jump out of bed and instantly go do a sprint, 100-yard sprint, or see how fast we can run the mile. When's the last time you guys timed yourself doing the mile? Yeah, me too. It's been maybe since school. Okay, and again, we're setting up. And what's the other part of this? We got to take that corner out too, right? So we want that big movement in here. So you see, that's all hard edges. It's too hard. So even starting here, just because what you're doing is you're warming up what you're looking at and what's acceptable to you. And I want to just say right now, you hard edges, I find you unacceptable at this point. We are not ready for you. We are not ready for you yet. All right, nice and relaxed. Right, and see that's barely showing up, and that's what I want. That's what I want. I don't want to put anything up there that I've got to overcome later. But once we start feeling it, let's just get right in there to it. Get right to it. We don't want to go black or dark, 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 however you want to say it. But let's get a warm dark because our shadows are warm. And yes, I did go on and on and on Friday about making sure this was blue. And now you see me painting it with a little bit of warmth, almost red. And that is because that warm, thin coat underneath will help gray and pull that blue a little closer to our face tones. So part of what I'm practicing right now is how do I get, because if I'm not careful, nothing shows up. And what value is all of this? It's meaningless. Even in this thin paint, can we get it flat? Right? How flat can we get it? And again, we don't want it perfectly flat. And I'm going to show you guys some tricks here. And what we want to work on is the gradation where it's darker here in the corner and then lighter as it works towards our center. Right, just go ahead and get that light off of that. Let's just go ahead and What nose? What hair? What face? Nope. We're talking about the aesthetic foreground, the universe in which it's all going to happen. All right, if I could sing, I'd sing for you guys when I did this, but I think it's better that I don't. All right, see, I can just dump. Even with thin paint, I'm calling up, Home Depot. Hey, Bob, I need delivery. Can you give me a delivery, bud? Yeah, just put it there. I'll come in. I'll get my guys and equipment. We'll move that stuff around. But just deliver it to that job site for me so I have the materials I need to do the work I want to do. Right? Because your paint is your material, but it's kind of useless by itself. It just sits there and does nothing. So it's waiting for you to give it a little instruction. Ah, I can feel that. And you see how that's got a little bit of coverage, but not too much. And notice that took me a little while to get to it. How long we've been going now? It says 11 minutes and 40 seconds. Before, so it took me over 10 minutes to get to the paint quality that I wanted. It's Saturday, it's the weekend, right? Why should I be in a hurry? What do I got to do? Huh? Just being very leisurely. Well, I guess that's not true. Unless your leisure can have an intent. Because I'm very intent on what I'm trying to do here. And that's how I can spend 10 minutes trying to get the right paint quality without getting lost. Boom, hard edge, man. That's a hard edge. That's dangerous. It's like leaving an open pit of nuclear waste for the kids to play in. Clean that stuff up. Clean that stuff up. Right? Let's leave this place, leave this next generation. Don't need to have them riding their tricycles around nuclear waste. This is Karen. Good morning. So what I'm doing right now is establishing the aesthetic background, meaning how I want your eye or the riverbanks of the gesture. That's one way to think about the aesthetic background is the riverbanks of the gesture. And it took me about 10 minutes to get to a nice thin paint quality that I like. And I'm being really careful not to have any hard edges. So do you guys see how abrupt and how much attention that's causing right now? And we really need to be right up here, right? We're gonna have a white collar and everything right there. So shh. Let's just say, look, there's no need to be over there. Come on. Why are you standing in the back corner of our 40-acre lot? Everybody's up at the house having dinner, and you're over in the corner of the property. Makes us suspicious. All right, you need to talk about something? Something bothering you? You planning something? You out to get us? What's going on out there? Right? It just doesn't, things are odd if the whole party's in the middle of the property and you got somebody over in the corner of your 40 acres. What is happening? So let's not set up that scenario. It's not set up. Again, notice I knew this was darker and heavier, and where did I go? I didn't go to the edge, but I went inside. I went inside to deposit it. And now I can start again, pushing out. All right, I gotta be careful with my brush. Get this covered. Move in different directions, but I'm still making brush strokes. Right? What I mean by brush strokes is my brush goes down, it goes a length, and I pick it up. Do you see the difference? Boom. And then I can still soften this up by cutting across those last edges. But I'm even doing that with a brush stroke, with not a flick of the wrist. Notice my wrist is being fairly stable, right? So I'm moving from my shoulder. All right, I can't imagine it is, but I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am. This is one of the parts in the painting where it feels like nothing is happening, but a lot is happening right now. A lot is happening right now. So, what the heck is that? I thought you said aesthetic foreground. There's nothing aesthetically pleasing about that. It's like well, it's just not a good aesthetic thing. So what are we going to do? So we're going to have this hair get really close in here. Right? We're probably going to pick up that collar and stuff right about there. In other words, the lighter part of our background is going to be up in that area. And then above the hair, right? So even as I'm running out of stuff on my brush, you see as I deposit that, there's still some in there, and then I can even move that little bit around. Why? Because this is so medium heavy, and I've got a little bit of thinner in my medium as well. Okay, so you notice when I'm going back and forth, I'm not flicking. I'm still moving from my shoulder. Because what happens is if you flick, your brush is close here, and here it's far away. It hits and it's far away. If I move from my shoulder, I can keep it constant from literally the top to the bottom with the pressure. And that's why you want to move from your shoulder, right? I mean, it does look cool, but you're not doing it to look cool. You're doing it to control the paint. I cannot teach coolness. It's not my area of expertise. So you guys will have to go check out Fonzie or something like that if you guys need to be cool. Hey. Okay. And see that surface is becoming interesting where it's not like a big solid flat background. Happening. All right, so I can see the comments and reactions. So if you guys, I'd like to know a couple of things. One, how is this layout? It's not ideal camera-wise for me, but for reasons, this is what we were stuck with. The one thing I don't like is that camera right there in the shot. But unless I rewire and set everything up and take it from this side of me to that side of me, we're going to have it. But it's a goal. It's a goal. It's a goal. It's a goal. So where am I? So I'm 20 minutes in, and look, I've just been playing footsie with the background. So these backgrounds, to do them right, take time. And I'm not even doing it yet. What am I doing? I'm just setting it up for it. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and why? Because let's leave the lightest part up here where we want to go. Okay, so I've got some paint on there, but there's still some brush strokes. Right, you guys see those busy brush strokes? I'm going to clean off my palette knife. I'm going to lay it flush, not like that, but flush. I'm not like that. I'm not like that, right? I want this, a big flat part of this on there. Look how that changes the look of the paint. It takes those really strong, active brush strokes out. And so it's a different kind of look and texture. And then we can save our brush stroke look for the face. And in particular, for the thick paint of the face in light where we want to focus. Even on this, notice that I'm not doing just one direction. Circles, sideways, up and down. And I'm not, right, just in a little area, softening edges. Okay, still moving from the shoulder, and that's how I'm able to keep this flat. My wrist is not moving. When I was a kid, and I would concentrate really hard, my tongue would pop out. So I spent a lot of my youth with my tongue in the side. And as you get older, man, the kids let you have it. So I had to keep my tongue in my mouth, no matter how hard I was concentrating. So if you guys, now I've noticed, I don't see my tongue stick out anymore, but I get my lip wants to turn down. So if you see it, you go, oh, he's concentrating. He's concentrating. Look at that little bobblehead. Pop him on the head and his lip sticks out. Okay, so I'm really liking this. Again, you're probably not going to be seeing any of this, but with these lighter areas to these darker areas, I'd like you to think about something. What if I had a single gray and I took it, it's going to show up lighter here, and as I start working over here, it's going to get darker and darker and darker and darker. Oh yeah, gotta exhale, Captain. Exhale. Gotta remember to exhale. Keep that lip in check. Yeah, but do you guys see how so we're setting up knowing that we want that background darker over there, and it may not be perfect, and it's okay. We can work with it. And then we've got a beautiful setup. So where's this cute kid gonna go? Where's this cute kid gonna go? We're gonna come up. Up. So, right, you gotta be patient. You gotta wait for the force. Wait for that force to hit you where you know where it is. Don't be drawn into the evil. The evil of just making marks. So, Hey, Claudia. Glad you could hop on. So I've just kind of finished getting that background in there, the aesthetic background, and it only took me about 25 minutes. And then what I'm looking for now is Will's head. Unfortunately, I don't. All of our equipment's being used to produce this live broadcast, so I don't have a very big or picture of Will to go from the reference. So let's see, that collar is really important. Where do we want that collar? Because what we want, I think, is the shoulder, right? The shoulder to run up. If that shoulder ran up like that, if we hit the collar, and then we got his face in light. If we hit the collar here, and then is this the area in the background that's light here? All right. So we've lost our Facebook commentator, the one and only Cindy Meyer. She's got to run off to work. Okay, and so now that I've felt that out, so I've got the background in there, then with the paper towel, I get one chance to kind of fill things out. I don't want to start doing light yet, do I? No. What about that shadow for Will? So let's do size and placement as you guys usually think of it, the size and placement of the object. For me, especially since we've done the studies and we know already what we're doing, how we want this to look, for me, I try to do a little work on that aesthetic background. The aesthetic background. So as I'm mixing up Will's shadow, again, I realize you can't see the palette. I got two cameras working. I'm out of cameras right now, so we'll get some more. So what I want to do here is, boom, there's the collar. So if that collar comes down there, so let's make sure, right, we want him more or less here in the center, somewhere like that. So I just noticed, I think my canvas is a little bit off of center. So maybe, and if you have to get one side or the other, we'd prefer to have him cheat this way because he's gazing up there. And you don't want somebody on this side gazing off, right? Because then this becomes hard to deal with. So let's bring you all the way over here to the light in the background. What if that's the end of the collar there? The end of the collar, the kind of the V of the neck. Notice I'm not letting that dictate where I put, again, every time I go in, I'm fully engaged. Fully engaged. Where do we need that? And notice that this is showing up definitely different than the background. All right, so if we've got the collar and then his neck, it's gonna go off like that. There, so there's the top, because this collar is higher than that one, top of the collar. And even if you don't see it in the photo, we want the side of the collar and then the shoulder. Okay, and then that neck comes and then that face. It's subtle, but we want to show that difference. And then where's that hair? Where will that put that hair? that hair coming out right here. Okay, so if this is this side of the face, how can we simply do the face? Can we do an oval? Excuse me, parentheses. Yep, and the chin's there. Uh-oh, sound is off. Oh, why does Facebook keep doing that to me? So is everybody else's sound off? Say no if you can't hear me. That's a joke. That's a joke. I'm going to be talking over this for Monday, so I'm going to keep going. Keep going no matter what. Let's see. So he's tilted up and he's leaning back that way. So let me just get the edge of the egg here. All right, so this is the narrow. Not drastically, but let's make sure we get a little bit of that. So that means eyes are going to be perpendicular to that, but he's up, so they may be up a little bit higher. Okay, so all of that. Now, we're not going to have shadow on this side, so I don't want a lot of this stuff showing. Well, there'll be a little shadow from the hair. So if I want him to feel like he's tilted instead of up and down, tilted this way, what I'm going to do with this line here is I won't put it up and down, right? But that shadow line of the hair, I'm going to use it to tell my story of his tilt. Okay, and then that we know goes like that, right up and over, because we got to describe the roundness of that neck. And we know the shadows on this side. And I'll start out really thin so I don't have to take it off and we can build it, but we can already see the shadow there. If this is the bottom of the hair, let's come to this side on the bottom of the hair there. Again, if I want to show him tilted like he's tilted, I don't want to put the bottom of the hair straight across. I want it to work across like that works across, right? Reinforce the angle of the eyes. We are good. All right. Thanks, baby. Okay. So hopefully it was a temporary thing for you, Tom, and that makes me happy that we can still hear. That's almost enough to get me frustrated this morning. Almost. Almost, almost. But I'm painting and nothing can take that from me. All right, so that hair, and remember we want it wider here and a little wider here, and then it's going to start to get narrow. We want to keep this showing us the tilt of the head. All right, and the cast shadow of the hair. Now look how close and how quiet that hair is against that background. Right? Do you guys see the difference between that and that? So even as we start laying in, boom, we can make clarity versus vagary. And that's exactly the reason I wanted to do that to start with, so that when I laid this down, this is a much quieter space than that. Okay. And then this background, probably going to do the same thing. Let that touch in with that there. Okay. Okay, and if I'm fairly confident, Again, try to get this as flat as I can, and I don't want it to be real exciting brush strokes and stuff. I want to save that for the light. Save that for the, man, it's so tempting just to go straight, but you can't. You cannot do it. Can't do it. All right. So that's going to come across that way, but we're also going round. So we're coming back up that way. Something like that. So at this point, we can stop and ask ourselves, good, good, Tom's back on with us. Excellent. Excellent. We can ask ourselves, how is that size and placement in relation to the canvas? And if this canvas is all the same, if you don't have this back, you really can't tell. You really can't tell, but I feel like I can see the finish of this painting already, right? We're going to walk up here. We're going to hit a good solid white right through here with that there. That tie, which is going to be blue. Will come down like that. And you know, he's feeling a little bitty, so we want to make sure that everything's the right size, but I just don't want to start drawing with my brush, right? For one thing, I'm working in mass and not line. The second thing is if I put a line around what's going to be white later, when I put that white on there, this is going to muck it up. That's why you want to just slow down and be conscientious about what you're doing. I don't think I need that red there. And also I think, and let's try it. So if this is the chin, that collar actually comes over So it's the pit of his neck is closer. Let's see. Where are we going to put his nose? And that'll tell us the center of the face. That will tell us the center of the face. So where is his nose? Because I don't think it's over like this. See that right there? Wow, and it almost does. Does that suit our purposes? Right, get that right angle, the correct angle, I should say. We're not looking for a 90-degree right angle. We're looking for the correct angle. And just, you know, show it has the sides, and then show that it's sitting on the round surface and that it's round by going ahead and starting to round that a little bit, and we can soften that edge. That will take us up to the eye socket. Right, and this eye socket is related. So how wide is that nose at the pinch? Rather than placing this up here, relate it right, and that came a little too far over. I'll scrape that off in a minute. And then when we put these eyes, make sure you adjust for that angle. It's the shadow side of the face. Yeah. And we're going to catch the light. Light's going to spill up, spill over, and he's smiling, so that gives us big balls or form right here on his cheeks because of his smile. There we go. And we got to keep things open. We got to keep things open. You know, we could use light to run right through there too if we wanted to, and we might. Kind of depends on our mood, doesn't it? Just depends on our mood, and probably open up this right here more than that. Let that flow right in there. So how's that looking, guys? Can you see it come to life? Can you see it come to life? And what would happen if we just took another minute, another second? Go ahead and soften those edges. Soften those edges. And look, we can draw with that paper towel too. This is a cast shadow from that chin, so let's cut that. Down like that. So that's the soft edge down here. Hard edge there. All right, that tucks under a little bit there. Soft edge, soft edge, soft edge, soft edge. Okay. Where are we at? 45 minutes. So this is an entire class here. So this is probably where I will stop today. And I want you to notice that I haven't put the tie in, have I? No, what do I have? I basically have only worked with two pieces. I've got this dark in the background, kind of giving us our light. We haven't done our shadow and stuff here. We haven't done because what I want to do is I want to leave this open enough that it's still, if I need to move it on the next stage, I can, right? What if I have this off just a little bit? What if it needs to be over here? Or what if it needs to be over here? Well, what I'm doing by not putting this in and dedicating, I just got our main focus. And now I can think about it. And more than even think about it, let's go ahead and try to bring this to more of a finish. Wait, what? Yeah, let's bring this with more of a finish. By the way, even though this is flatter than that, do you see the difference in the brush strokes? It just feels different. And that's really thin paint. But as I took that palette knife and worked over that and got that different texture in the background, now this is a pretty close value to that, but it's a different color and it's put on there differently. So they separate. They hold together because of value. They separate because of color. This is more of a blue gray, where this is more of our red orange, and brushstroke. So remember what I said, in order to get you up, that white shirt's going to take you up here, but we need to make sure you can't get through here. That's boom, because we want you to shoot you all the way over there, right? And so the same came here, but I already explained why I'm not going to put that in yet. And do we want you jump? No, we don't want you out till you go up there. So let me, again, some of this is going to be orange, but if I put a really thin layer of this background here, then if it's an appropriate value or stroke of orange, I can put it on there and leave it. I won't have to worry about coming up and painting around that. And again, don't leave any hard edges. And now that we've got that chin set, boom, we can see his chin. So his collar comes more like that, which means his shoulder is going to be, right? And that's exactly why I don't want to go too far. Push back and forth. Push back and forth. So we're just asking a little more of ourselves right now, that's all. And what rhythm are we going to find? Get this wide enough. I'm always, rather than just drawing something, I'm trying to find a rhythm to the other thing, and then that'll come across from the shoulder up there. Because the more times I have, more chances I have to try this out, the more likely I will be to get it right. And don't need the details and stuff right yet, but let's just start making sure that his shoulders are big enough to hold that head. However size his head is compared to the chin. And again, I don't have my references small and far away. And I don't do enough figures in portrait painting just to be able to, if this is what you did for a living, you can feel it out. I simply just do not do it often enough. Okay. Again, so we got that one hard edge there, and if it's too hard, just kiss it, right? Because again, we want to make sure that we're going here before we have a big white here that's going to help us out, but we want to keep this quiet until we play it up. And the same with this background over here. If you study the reference and the background, you'll notice that in the reference, this is all shadow. And we've really inverted that in the background there. Okay, so the next time I come in, I can really visit and cut that in there. Right, we want this to all kind of go away. Right, notice how as I get this around here quieter and quieter, we're more on that. All right, this shoulder still feels small to me. Feels a little bit small. But sometimes two-dimensionally things will feel smaller, then as you add form, they appear bigger. I just want. Okay, to me that's beginning to feel a little bit better. Beginning to feel better. All right, so let's take care of this background and then wind this up for today. Looks and sounds great. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, thank you. So a trick I showed earlier, I put the aesthetic background in first before I started on this. And then I talked about not leaving these brush strokes in the background. Then I had to come in and connect that. So my palette knife's flat. But if you have a really rough canvas, if it's too rough, for me, this is a rather rough canvas. I haven't prepared it like I like to. So it's basically right out of the box, right out of the package. I usually like to put a couple of layers of white paint down to fill in all the holes. Okay, and I don't necessarily want to do that there because again, I want this a different character than that. Okay, so size and placement, and we're set to go. So there's enough there that I can tell, okay, so I can take a break. How do I measure my eyes where I need them to be? Is that nose long enough? Is it short enough? Did I get the wrong thing on there? Right, it's solid enough that I can judge, but not so solid and intricate that it's not going to be real easy to change or modify. Modify if we need to modify it. Okay. And let's see. Since that eye does turn around here, I'm going to go ahead and give the feel of that. Go that way. That'd be perfect. But again, we get rid of that white in there. Ah, this feels like a big piece now. This feels like a big piece. So this is our soft edge on the inside, and then be a bit of a hard edge. All right, and then this is going to be blue, but you'll have that. And then again, we need to get form over here to show him with that big smile. That center line's kind of throwing us off now, so let's just take that out. Okay, so I hope that helps. And again, this isn't, I'm not thrilled with this, and they're not too far apart, and it's okay, but they probably aren't going to stay like that. But when we start, we want things as far apart as possible so that we have room for that refining later. And when we refine, we still have a good solid image. All right, so thanks, guys. I really would appreciate what you think about this camera, what you think about that. I realize you didn't see my palette today. I'll work on that as I get more skills. It sounds like everybody can hear me okay. And this will be what I use to go over in our Monday Zoom and to see if we like it, the place. So as I'm looking this, for some reason, this is feeling really low on the canvas, but look, I just put my hand up there and I can see it's well above the halfway mark. So maybe it's just too light up there at the top. What if it's just too light at the top? All right, so that's all going to change, but even at this stage with thin paint, try to work on those relationships. Now, all these relationships are going to have to completely change. Well, the relationships we don't necessarily want to change, but that's probably going to change, and that's probably going to change. But let's get a feeling for this thing as soon as we can. Let's get this thing to have kind of that feeling, that emerging feeling, that focus. You see how we already have focus in here? And this focus right here is a little too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and knock this down a little bit. Why? Well, because I'd actually like you to go up there. Right now you're going down here. Can you see that? Susan, thank you. You're too nice. You're too nice. Um, let's see, off of the, right, and I can go ahead and take my first stab at the neck. Where does that neck come through? And how much do we want to show? Remember, we want that open. We want that to turn. That's air, that's air, that's air, air. All of this for sure is air. I want to have a little bit up there. Yeah, it's amazing how this will work. Get rid of that hard edge. Right, even on the hair, nice hard edge. But remember when I was saying Friday that if we had a hard edge right there, boom, what that's going to do is get us inside this whole form. But if we have a hard edge here and a harder edge, right, why should we have such a hard edge here? Is this where we want to? No. So let's just touch the baby. Just touch the baby. Soften that up a little bit. So again, this is a warm up before you've got some thick paint on this. This is all really thin paint. but you can practice your touch, right? Let it get into your nervous system, something like that. All right, I think I said 10 minutes ago we were going to stop. I'll try to tell you guys I have a problem, but you don't seem to listen. Let's see. Um, yeah, yeah. What am I not like? So right now, you see that? Let's. Oh yeah, that's the other thing we should do here is bring, right? So we're talking really composition now and just messing with these big pieces. There's no need for this light right here, and there's no need for it to come out this far. All right, Cindy's out of here. Say bye, everybody. Thanks, sweetie. Sure. Will you give the dogs a treat? Try to buy me 5 or 10 minutes. Yes, our dogs extort us. I know. We need to get a spine, but there we go. And then maybe just, yeah. Because if we come up here, then what's happened is this to this isn't very much. But if we're down to here to that, man, that's more exciting. And we all want to be exciting. At least that's what we tell people. Okay. And then I want to save a little bit of room to show that turn right from the shoulder to the arm. So I just want to have enough room to define. And again, I can come back the next time I'm in here and pull that away. And then this, because we want that to be the darkest background over there. Not the dark, excuse me. This to be the very lightest background in the whole painting. So then I'm just, again, adjusting this value with this thin paint. That was too hard of a touch, but let's just turn that side of the face so we're more over here. Turn that, let that go back into space. Okay. I know you guys said okay 15 minutes ago. I'm the one that keeps going on about it. Hey, but it's my Saturday too, right? It's my Saturday too. Bye, ladies. Love you guys. Where's that neck? Again, just a chance for me to play to see if the width of that neck. Because what I don't want is a hard line over there, right? We want this to be vague, but we still have to feel, even though it's vague, we've got to feel that it's there supporting that head. And then over there. So let's see. Can I step back now and look at this? And all right. Well, I may keep playing, but I'm going to turn the video off because we've been an hour. And that's going to be plenty for Monday's class. All right. So I hope you guys get some painting in this weekend or whatever you do. Have a little fun, engage, and make it beautiful. Make it beauty. You know, the artist has responsibilities too. And those responsibilities are obligations. I heard something that, there's, well, of course, there's more than two ways to see the world, and this is a big summary to make a point, but we can look at the world as we have rights and demand rights from it, or we can look at the world and ask, what's our obligations, right? And for me, the artist obligation is to keep the beauty so everybody can see it, right? Because, yeah, it's not like food, it's not like shelter, and immediacy, but it's just as important. And if we leave it out, it has long-term, I think, ill psychological effects. But the good news, oops, you see what I did there? I just scratched that paint off. So I grabbed something, but no worries. Let's just deposit a little more on there. All right, so there's no need to freak out. We're in control. And look, it's like it's never happened. Never happened. Dogs are bosses by all styles. That's true. That's true, Claudia. All right, guys. I think I'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the feedback. And we'll be back Monday morning. I might try a sketch club later tonight or tomorrow, depending. I keep expecting to run out of fuel at some point and crashing for a couple of days. But right now we're still going, and that's good. Man, it's fun to paint. I'm glad we get this technology taken care of so we can get back to this. All right, everybody have a good day. We will talk to you guys later. Bye. Bye, Susan. Bye, Tom. Bye, Claudia.